In 1803, the French army suffered a catastrophic loss. 50,000 veteran troops sent to the Caribbean were dead, captured, or driven into the sea. Look at this portrait of Napoleon Bonaparte, representing an empire at its military peak. An army of formerly enslaved people dismantled this force. This engraving shows the landscape of Saint-Domingue. At the time, this single colony was the economic engine of the Atlantic world, producing half of the globe's sugar and coffee. Historical narratives often characterize this victory as a sudden, chaotic slave uprising, a spontaneous explosion of anger. The reality is more complex. Over 13 years, the commanders of Saint-Domingue waged a campaign defined by shifting alliances, calculated atrocities, and highly sophisticated strategic planning. To defeat a superpower, the Haitian commanders first had to wage a brutal internal civil war to centralize their own fractured military factions. Once unified, they abandoned conventional European tactics. They executed a ruthless, asymmetric scorched earth strategy to bleed the French military dry. These specific, cold-blooded choices show how a local rebellion transformed into a devastatingly effective campaign of asymmetric attrition. In 1791, Saint-Domingue was fractured into chaotic, unconnected pockets of insurgency. Toussaint Louverture emerged, building forces on the eastern border, allied with Spain. In 1794, Toussaint pivoted, abandoning Spanish backers to align his troops with the French Republic. The political logic was precise. By aligning with France immediately following their decrees abolishing slavery, Toussaint secured official legitimacy, allowing him to dominate rival commanders. Militarily, this move gave him control over the cordon of the West. This chain of mountain posts was essential for blocking British coastal invaders from pushing into the interior. Toussaint took a localized, disorganized insurgency and transformed it into an officially sanctioned, organized army. It was the first structural step toward state building. By looking at this map from the era, we can see the next hurdle. By 1799, the colony consolidated into two massive rival power blocks. Toussaint controlled the north and west, representing the black majority. To the south, André Rigaud controlled the coastal ports. Toussaint recognized a harsh reality. A fractured, bipolar colony would immediately collapse the moment a European empire returned to reclaim it. This calculation sparked the War of the Knives, a merciless internal civil war fought for a single objective: establishing an absolute monopoly on military violence. The conflict even drew in the United States. President John Adams deployed the U.S. Navy to blockade Rigaud in the South, deliberately supporting Toussaint to cripple French influence in the Caribbean. To end the conflict, Toussaint unleashed his top field commander, General Jean-Jacques Dessalines. Dessalines executed a terrifying scorched earth campaign, starving out Rigaud's forces. The War of the Knives was a deliberate clearing of the board. Toussaint eliminated his rivals to forge the unified state apparatus necessary for war. Anticipating an invasion, Toussaint made a preemptive strike in 1801, marching his army east to occupy the Spanish half of the island, Saint-Domingue. He knew that if he left those eastern ports undefended, a returning French military could use them to stage an amphibious landing and march directly into his territory. His fears materialized in 1802. Napoleon dispatched General Charles Leclerc with a massive, technologically superior expeditionary force to reassert total imperial control. Toussaint initially met this threat by trying to fight conventional, European-style pitched battles against Leclerc's veterans. It was a mistake that cost him heavy casualties and critical ground. It was General Dessalines who recognized the error. Engaging the French army on its own conventional terms was military suicide. Dessalines forced a radical shift in doctrine. The Haitian forces abandoned the coastal cities entirely, retreating into the harsh, mountainous interior to sever French supply lines. By throwing out the European military playbook, Dessalines learned to weaponize the island's environment itself against the occupiers. We see this asymmetric doctrine perfectly executed during the 1802 siege of Crête-à-Pierrot. Dessalines entrenched his heavily outnumbered troops inside this small mountain fort, deliberately baiting the French into converging their massive forces on a single, highly restrictive choke point. He never intended to hold the position indefinitely. The strategic objective was simply to inflict cataclysmic casualties on the overconfident French infantry as they funneled into the valley. While bleeding the French ranks, the Haitian defenders engaged in psychological warfare, loudly singing French Republican war songs to demoralize the very soldiers attacking them in the name of the Republic. With French manpower exhausted, Dessalines ordered a coordinated fighting escape. His troops broke the siege lines and vanished back into the impenetrable hills. The secondary phase of this operation was even more lethal. The siege stalled the French until the rainy season arrived, and yellow fever began to decimate their stationary, exhausted ranks. Crête-à-Pierrot proved that a managed tactical retreat designed specifically to maximize enemy attrition was far more devastating than holding ground. Look at this historical illustration. By late 1802, the disease-ridden French army grew so frustrated with the guerrilla war that they resorted to horrific counterinsurgency tactics, systematically drowning Haitian prisoners in the harbors. But this extreme brutality completely backfired, serving as a visceral catalyst. Alexander Pétion, the commander of the mixed-race forces in the south, officially aligned his troops with Dessalines and the Black Army. Facing a truly united front, the remnants of the French expedition were completely crushed at the conventional Battle of Vertières in late 1803. That final victory was only possible because the earlier civil wars and years of asymmetric attrition had forged a hardened, unified command structure capable of finishing the fight. In the immediate aftermath of independence in 1804, Dessalines ordered the systematic execution of the remaining white French population. Dessalines justified the killings as a ruthless security measure, a cold piece of realpolitik intended to prevent future French subversion from within. Strategically, the massacres also served to permanently bind the fragile military alliance between black and mixed-race officers in a state of shared complicity. The impact of the Haitian victory rippled far beyond the Caribbean. The complete destruction of the French expeditionary force shattered Napoleon's grand transatlantic strategy. Without Saint-Domingue as a secure Caribbean staging ground, Napoleon realized his broader ambitions for a North American empire were impossible to supply or defend. Look at the red highlighted area on this map. Desperate for war funds and unable to defend the territory, Napoleon sold the massive Louisiana tract to the young United States. Through 13 years of conflict, a fractured population of enslaved people evolved through brutal civil war and scorched earth insurgency to defeat the most feared military on earth. The strategic evolution of commanders like Toussaint and Dessalines won their own freedom and forced a geopolitical retreat that changed the trajectory of the North American continent.